When the FBI fired 5 veteran agents earlier this month, the agency's director, Kash Patel, gave no reason for those terminations. But several sources tell CBS News the firings were politically motivated. The shakeup was directed at agents who worked on investigations of President Trump and the January 6th assault on the Capitol. Acting FBI Director Brian Driscoll was terminated after nearly 20 years at the agency. He had resisted the Trump administration's request to hand over a list of agents who worked on the Capitol riot cases. 2 other top agents were also terminated earlier this month. CBS News Justice reporter Jake Rosen is covering this for us in Washington. Jake, thank you for joining us today. Can you walk us through these firings and what the administration is saying about them?
That's right. Well, this firing wave that you're talking about was and is the latest that we've seen coming out of the FBI. Obviously, it was a couple of weeks ago, but at the same time, our CBS News reporting team here dug into why these agents were specifically hired, and sources told CBS that the likeliest reason, at least for in the case of Driscoll and a couple of these other men, including Jensen, is that A, they either would not fire subordinates who worked on Trump-related investigations, or B, tried to, despite doing the right thing and having been career agents, had involvement as just working in Washington, D.C. and working at the higher echelons of the FBI, had worked on these investigations. And again, we're kind of caught in this crossfire of retribution at the FBI, despite FBI Director Kash Patel going in front of Congress and pledging that there would be no retribution within the FBI. Our reporting shows that at least these agents were asked to fire subordinates. Those subordinates were later fired after they were removed as well. One of them served and worked on that raid at Mar-a-Lago into President Trump's handling of classified documents. Another worked on January 6th investigations. And there's an outside group, Mugo, of former FBI agents who were fired under the Biden administration because of alleged partisan ties that they had. That have come back kind of in the last 7 or 8 months or so and tried to pinpoint other FBI officers and agents who they believe were doing wrong things, suggesting from the outside, but very loudly, that there should be some consequences for what they see as wrongdoing, whether it's working on these Trump investigations or simply getting kind of caught in the way. And in the case of Driscoll, one source told CBS News that despite Kash Patel trying to save his job, he was just collateral damage.
I want to talk to you about the federal takeover of the nation's capital. The DOJ is investigating if Washington, D.C. police are falsifying crime statistics, which kind of sounds really far-fetched to me, but want to get your take on that.
Yeah, and this all stems from allegations that over the last couple of years, somebody who worked in the Metropolitan Police Department had been classifying wrongly the crime statistics in the city to make it appear as though crime was not as bad as it is. There's no substantive evidence of this so far, but President Trump has referred to it repeatedly, especially going back to a couple of weeks ago on that Monday announcement in which he announced that the DOJ was going to take over the D.C. Police Department here for a limited number of time, and National Guard was going to come in to the district. He kept saying that those crime numbers were fake and made up and phony. Attorney General Pam Bondi and U.S. Attorney here in Washington, D.C., Jeanine Pirro, are investigating this. And certainly, whether anything comes out of this remains to be seen. But this comes as, President Trump is claiming the crime numbers under the last 2 weeks are correct, but anything up until then was incorrect. And again, Mugo, as we talked about, it really just comes down to how people feel. President Trump obviously trying to take advantage of that feeling by saying that the numbers were wrong.
Okay. All right, Jake, we cannot let you go, obviously, without talking about the Epstein files. The House Oversight Committee says it's going to make some files from the case public. So what can we expect?
So a spokesperson for the House Oversight Committee said that the likeliest thing that happens here is that the Department of Justice tomorrow starts to hand over some of its files related to Jeffrey Epstein to the House Oversight Committee, led by Republicans, but working in tandem with Democrats to get some of this out there. They have to then go through and redact any kind of sensitive information about the victims and anything that could potentially hurt these people who were impacted by Jeffrey Epstein and his associates, and Ghislaine Maxwell, who's obviously at the center of this as well. Then potentially we could see some kind of release. But the big question, Mugo, is there anything actually new in here? That is the real thing that we'll have to see. TBD on that. we just don't know yet, and it seems like every kind of trickle of information we have gotten, or the DOJ has pushed to get, has not resulted in any new breaking information that would change the situation that the Trump administration's in, which is that they're kind of stuck in a quagmire of not wanting to put out more information and not satisfying most of the country in terms of delivering answers when they were promised them.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what we learn this time around. Jake Rosen in Washington, D.C. for us today. Thank you so much for your time.